Guys, this is Gerald. I want to do a talk. Yeah, I want to talk to this is a video that probably has been long overdue. So I want to talk about foreclosures, U.S. foreclosures, the foreclosure crisis in America. And we all know about the subprime, the craziness that happened like 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago, where you had foreclosures happening to property left and right. You know, I was working with a real estate broker at the time, and I was a BPO agent. Okay, BPO is short for broker price opinion. And so what I did, my job was to evaluate and appraise properties that were going back to the bank. Unfortunately, you know, there were properties that were worth, I remember one property I did, that property's worth $2 million before the subprime fallout, worth $2 million. By the time I got done with it and I began to evaluate it and appraise it, that property was worth maybe $650,000. It had lost, it was roughly 30%, you know, of its value, even less than 30%, which is, so reason I'm doing this is there's many people, it took me a while to figure it out. There's a lot of people coming onto the channel, and a lot of you all are homeowners. And you are going through a state of shock. Tell you a little something about myself and one of the reasons this channel is growing. One of the biggest reasons is I can relate to pain. I can relate to pain. I think it was in 1996, 1997, I bought my first house. 98, I got my second house. 99, in 1999, I had fallen behind, and one of the properties got foreclosed on. Went through a foreclosure. I know the feelings. I know what that is. I know, like somebody socked you in your stomach. You know, I know, you know, I was crying, you know, couldn't understand, didn't understand, because I was a new investor and things were supposed to work out, supposed to work my way, right? And it did not, you know. I remember feeling this feeling of hopelessness. You know, I remember feeling like, you know, I didn't want nobody to know. I was embarrassed, man. You know, it's, I was hurt. You know, you got family, you got friends, you got colleagues at work. People think that, you know, you're this new hot investor, or they hear through the grapevine that you're beginning to do big things. And it affected me deeply. You know, you begin to lose your confidence, your self-esteem, and then your mind begins to turn in on itself. And you know, at the time the internet was not around, and so or it was still in its infancy. You know, you can't do like you do nowadays, where you can go ahead and scroll online and get foreclosure help. That was not the case. You know, I get the letters from investors, crazy amount of letters. We buy houses, we buy houses, we buy houses. You begin to think in your mind that from an investment perspective, or not from a homeowner's perspective, you begin to think in your mind that, you know, all these people want to do is take advantage of me and my situation. Are there investors like that out there? Absolutely. There's some sharks out there, you know. But then there's some people out there who understand this concept called creative real estate finance. And they understand how to create a win-win situation. So the one thing that happened to me was my credit got destroyed, okay? Which is the biggest thing. A foreclosure on your credit is like death on your credit. It hurt me for so long, man. And then after that, I filed bankruptcy. It's just to start all over. I think I was 29, 30 at the time, something like that. It hurt, man. You know, it hurt. I didn't tell nobody. You know, I ain't want nobody laughing. I ain't want nobody. You know what it is when you're in foreclosure. You don't want people to either make fun of you or put you down because you're embarrassed and you're kind of functioning in survival mode. And really quietly, honestly, you need help. But I didn't see that. You know, I didn't see. I figured myself. I figured I had it together. You know what I mean? I knew that you know what? I'll bounce back. I'll find a way to solve this problem. When the foreclosure timeline is clicking, and every day is ticking, is the closer you come to your credit just being done. You know, so if you're on this channel, which many of you are because of the comments that I receive, and you need help, I'm going to ask you to do this. And this is not a plug for my Facebook group. This is not a plug for this is the thing that I'm going to ask you to do. Number one, go to Google and then type in what is foreclosure. Read about it. Read about it on sites like nolo.com. It's a phenomenal site, great resource. Wikipedia. Read about it. What is foreclosure? Get all the information you can about it. Go to local forums and post hypothetical situations if you choose to. Okay, I know, because you don't want anyone to know that it's you that's behind on whatever that is. Post hypothetical situations, you know, and look at the responses that you receive. Agents may say some things, investors may say some things, lawyers going to say some things, but ultimately what you're looking for is somebody who's going to give you a solution to your specific problem. I'm going to tell you something. Whenever people hear the word foreclosure, especially from either a public perspective or an investor perspective, oftentimes we associate that with quote unquote good deal. Now, Foreclosures aren't always a good deal. Trust me. Some foreclosures, many foreclosures, do not have equity. Many foreclosures are behind $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 in back payments and penalties and that type of thing. Many foreclosures, you're not even able to acquire a real estate agent because you have no equity within the property to hire one. I'm going to tell you, if your situation is in such a way where you don't think you have where you don't think that you don't have a way out, do me a favor. Post your situation as a comment on the video and let me see, or let those of us that are connected to the channel see if we can give you a solution to that issue so that you can save your credit. I had a website years ago, and it was a foreclosure help site. I think I may go ahead and get that back. And the entire objective was to help people in foreclosure. I remember when I lived in Southern California, this was 2007, I want to say, around that time frame, somewhere around that 2007, 2008. Anyways, I was doing a BPO appraisal, or I was doing a broker price opinion, an evaluation for a particular property in Ontario, California. I'll never forget it. And this older gentleman, I'm not going to mention his name. I don't even know if he's around now, but I remember going to his home, and I was doing a BPO on his property, and he and his wife, they were at the house. Both of them were probably in their 80s by then. And he had a unique situation because he had a business where he was transporting medical supplies. And he had that business for a good portion of probably 15 to 20 years. So it was a successful business. But because of the state of the economy at the time, that business had fallen flat. He was older. His health was, deteriorating. And so I remember the day that I had the appraisal at his property. And we sat across from one another. We went to the kitchen. After I finished my evaluation, went to the kitchen because he needed to talk to me. And he told me all the particulars about his property, all the issues that he had gone through with the bank. He had told me he told me some very personal things. And then I had given him some solutions to the problem that he was facing in going through a potential short sale. And we stayed at that kitchen table for probably about a good portion, maybe 30, 40 minutes. And I never forget it. He had a check for about $4,000 that he was writing to the bank, that he had already written to the bank because he had been paying them $4,000 a month to keep the property, because he had worked out some type of what is that? It's not loan modification. He had worked out something with the bank where if he gave them somewhere in the ballpark of $4,000 a month, he'd be able to postpone foreclosure of his property. I don't know what bank he was with, but it was like a smaller bank or something like that. I don't know if it was I don't know, it was a smaller bank. Anyways, we started talking, and I gave him some solutions to the problem. And he took that $4,000 check that he had in hand that he was going to cut to the bank, and he slid the check over to me. I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "You know, Gerald, in a year and a half of dealing with this bank," he said, "you've told me more in our 30-minute conversation, and you've given me more knowledge in our 30-minute conversation that I've had from this bank in a year and a half." I slid that check back over to him. I said, "I don't do business like that." And he hired me on the spot, you know, to represent him when it came to a potential short sale to his property. I say that to say, if I had to do things all over again, I would have done things a lot differently. Even though I knew what I was doing, in doing a short sale for his property, I probably would have asked more questions, not from just brokers, but from seasoned investors and from lawyers. Because he had some things going on there where we could have done some different things with that property. So I'm telling you this story. The reason I'm telling you this story is you don't have to go through the hell I went through with my foreclosure. You can save your property. Let me rephrase that. You can get as much advice as possible in saving your property if you so choose to do so. That's your decision. I was selfish because I thought I had it. You know, a lot of us, we think we got it. You don't got it. You know, it's okay to cry at the end of the day. You know, there's many a days that I cried. Didn't tell anybody, but I cried. I was hurt. I was hurt. Stepped away from real estate for several years. I still had it. I still kept learning about it. I still kept processing. But I left a bad taste in my mouth. And it had nothing to do with real estate. It had to do with my own pride. So I say that to say, if you have a situation where you have a foreclosure and you have a job loss situation and you don't know what to do, post a comment in the form of a question. Okay, "Hey Gerald, this is what's going on with my property. My house is boom, 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 boom. You know, lost my job, health challenges, house too expensive, paying too much," whatever the situation may be. Leave a comment. Leave me your situation, and I will tell you the best way to proceed with your situation. That may be going to a real estate agent. That may be working with your local real estate investor in an area, a local real estate investor in an area where you're located at. I don't know. But there are crooks. There are crooks out there. But then there's some good solid people out there. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm reaching that percentage of you all that no matter what somebody says or does, you'll just let the property go. Like you've given up. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that to your credit. Don't do that to... You may create a situation where you try. You know, there was a point where I stopped trying, man. I was like, F it. Give up, curse out the world, angry, bitter. So, yeah. I'm realizing that there's a lot of you out there that are homeless because you've gone through a situation like this. I've had a couple people reach out to me via video telling me their personal situations. My heart goes out to you, man. But use this particular video if you need help in figuring out what you need to do with your property. But be honest, be real with me. You know, Gerald, I'm $10,000 behind. Ain't no equity in the house. It's a dead deal. Okay? Give me everything. Point that out as a comment and let me help you figure out that situation. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm putting this out there because ain't nobody did it for me. And even if they would have, I don't know. I still would have shut down, maybe been embarrassed. Forget it. You know, angry. You know, because I think I got this. Nah, I didn't. You know, just being real. So, anyways, this is a different video. This is for the sellers. If you need help being pointed in the right direction, leave me a comment. This is Gerald. Have a good one.